Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Ask Sips. It's been a tough, not tough bad, but just busy couple of days already. We're late morning on a Tuesday. Yesterday was just bonkers. I actually finished working at 9 o'clock after I had a couple of later calls. Didn't manage to go live yesterday, but I'm back today. And I just want to talk a little bit about the three sort of things that I'm seeing the clients of Purple Go and the potential clients. But I say potential, there is that broader general theoretical client, but also the actual clients we're engaging with and doing proposals and pitching to at the moment. So more solid insights as well as the sort of general extrapolated theoretical insights. And all this feedback just really has broken down into three areas that I wanted to share with you. I think, as always, that there's various variables and there's lots of different ways to segment the kind of businesses that we help. So for a particular segmentation would be there's the brands that have a product very much designed and made for disabled people only, like a wheelchair. That would be a different sort of client to, the mainstream brand like Tesco's that we've got our campaign with them live at the moment around accessibility and the 100 changing places toilets that they've got across the UK. That's like a very different segment. That's a brand. Tesco's is for everybody that obviously in the shopping industry. And then again, we can go into other industries like utilities or holidays, but looking at sort of the different ways they may or may not engage with disabled people. So that's sort of a separate differential. But what I wanted to say is that the 3 points are: one is around where the product doesn't have to be only for disabled people, like a wheelchair, although that would fall into the first category. But it's sort of where there's, take Alexa, Amazon Alexa, that's made for everyone. But though that product has very particular features that are really, really applicable, almost sort of use case for disabled people. So that for me, when I'm lying down in bed, I can't use my phone. As I've said a lot of times, I use my phone for everything. I only use the laptop for the webcam, but I operate the laptop from my phone. But when I'm laying down, I can't even use my phone. So voice activation is really, really empowering. So point one is that the product has a particular use for certain segments, if you like, of disabilities. The second point, or thing, as I put on there, what are the three things? The second thing is the brand awareness to disabled people. So again, if it's a product, a company that's only made something for disabled people, that's their prerogative, is to reach the disabled consumer base and have better brand awareness and brand engagement. But again, there are lots of tier one brands that haven't historically ever actually tried to get their brand in front of disabled consumers. And so that narrative very much is around the purple pound, the 8 trillion annual global spending power of disabled people. In the UK, it's the 250 to 70 billion. I really need to get what this latest figure is. I said it's somewhere between 250 and 270 billion, but every day I see a different article and a different bit of research that within that 20 billion ballpark difference, but ultimately 250 billion plus in the UK, massive spending power. And that's been let's say something quite emotive, the crime in a way that brands have just never seen and heard and understood and engaged with disabled consumers. It's just bonkers from a business point of view. It's just bonkers. So the second thing is the brand awareness to disabled people. And the third thing is more the sort of, I guess it relates to corporate social responsibility. Some of you know the whole CSR agenda. That would definitely be part of it. But it's ultimately where there's something really good that a brand's done for disabled people around disability, around accessibility, and they're telling that story to non-disabled consumers and stakeholders. It might be that for the internal staff, it's really cool to know they're working for a company that's done social good things, like with, I'm going to say disability because I have a disability and I'm very much around the social change and inclusion of disabled people. But the same can be said for the other diversity and inclusion strands. But yeah, if you're working for a company, when you get to hear that your company's done something socially good, it's good for morale, it's good for the team. Obviously, I mentioned customers first and foremost from a consumer level, but it could be investors, it could be the board, could be suppliers on the procurement side. But ultimately, the third thing is where it's taking something socially good and getting that in front of those types of audiences I've just explained. Now, I think when we launched Purple Goat, I was all about, let's get more brand awareness. The second thing, let's do loads more of that. Let's get loads of brand awareness of a particular brand. Let's get it all out there, tell the story. Why are they, what are they doing good for disability? But just generally, it might not be around disability. It's just, it could be Deliveroo is basically a brand for all sorts of consumers, but let's tell the story of use cases of disabled people using Deliveroo for different reasons. So I was all about part two. I was all about that, the Purple Pound, the whole lot, right? And then also within a month, and this is me being a bit flippant, but sooner than later, let's also, amend like website or apps or in-store experiences, like, invent adapted clothing with Supermarket. Like, let's actually do the first thing I mentioned. Let's create products or innovate products and amend products that are more suitable for disabled people. But I was pragmatic that we start with the brand awareness piece to show brands, hey, there's lots of disabled consumers, and then when that's going well, we'll also do the product thing. By the way, we've been doing all three of these things, and sometimes all three with one brand, sometimes it's just one, maybe two with a brand. So just to be really clear, they're all in action and they're all happening. But I did imagine that it would be like, it's just me getting a bit over impassioned and overexcited, but thinking we launch in April and we'd be doing like, thousands of brand awareness to disabled people, and we'd be innovating all these products. But I think it's fair to say that from the brand side, there is this fear. I've talked a lot about this fear, and I think they're very much scared of saying we're a brand for disabled people to disabled people, because they're worried that they're going to get trolled and, shouted at and, told off for all the past things that were not good enough. And I think you'll get my stance. Like, I am disabled, I'm from the disabled community. It's a lot of years and decades and generations of, excuse my French, but bullshit in terms of exclusion. And I get quite angry and frustrated as an individual, but I also, the more I'm engaging with brands, I understand that it has to be that kind of empathy and compassion and patience and education, as hard as it is to be those things for so many years on and on and on. It is the way, because as I'm just saying, that the brands are scared of saying we're a brand for disabled people, to have egg on their face and to start to try and innovate new products in a world that they're not accustomed to. Feels like a lot of money and resource and risk when they're not used to this world. So I think, there's definitely a staged approach. And I think brands are finally starting to work with disabled talent, like the influencers that we work with, to tell the story of being disabled, just to give us a voice, to have a platform to tell our story and to educate. And so that point three, as much as I was not aiming for that as fully, and I was like, we'll do a bit of that, but we're going to get into two and then one really, really quickly, I do see the merit in this third part, because actually it's social change. And the more that we are able to actually, get other non-disabled customers to understand the barriers and the solutions for disabled people, and the people that work at brands to understand the barriers and the solutions, and investors and board members and C-suite, like the Valuable 500, very much driving that C-suite agenda. and on and on the procurement side. Like, the more we generally raise awareness to the world that there are these ridiculous barriers that can be fixed really quickly and easily in many cases, then I think that's also how we get in to thing number 2 and thing number 1. And so I guess also, if I'm honest, there was a principle thing. Like, we don't want to be talking to non-disabled people all the time. We want to help brands, be speaking to disabled people. But maybe in the end, as I say, it's all of these things, and they can happen concurrently. But at the very least, this part 3 is going to be so powerful to gradually, going on that journey, getting rid of the fear that people have, overcoming the stigmas, the prejudice, and ultimately educating. And the more we can educate all parts of society, then we'll end up in point 2 and point 1, as I've articulated. And so I guess I've created a bit of a roadmap for me on a personal level and for Purple Goat as a business. But I think it's probably for all the people watching. I've got some comments I'll come to in a second. But I think this would be really valuable and useful in seeing that bigger picture of how society is as society is. And we have to meet people where they are and be on the same page, and then bridge those differences so we all go on that journey together. I know I'm starting to sound like I'm going to whack out a guitar and sing Kumbaya now, but I know you will get what I'm saying, and you will agree as well that inclusion is a journey. And I've found it actually embracing the part 3 at Purple Goat and doing some really innovative things within part 3 is already changing the world, and it's laying the foundations to do even more of 2 and 1 than we're currently able to do. But also thankful for the brands that we are doing part 2 and part 1 with as well. So that's today's soapbox. Not really a soapbox rant today. I think that was quite calm and considered, to be honest. But yeah, the 3 things are around product, brand awareness to disabled people, and social good awareness about disability, but to non-disabled people. Right, so to the juicy bits of the comments. Marnie, it's probably because even without marketing towards disability, they still get the 250 billion plus, therefore they don't see a need to, which is wrong. Yeah, and this comes back to our chat the other day, doesn't it, Marnie, about Nike, that, in a way, if your marketing is generally about disability, you're still going to hit disabled people in that marketing. So I think it's, good to make that point that mainstream marketing about disability is still going to hit disabled people, which is good. But we also know from modern marketing, forget disability, modern marketing is about investing in segments and communities. And so we always hear about, sort of promoting and marketing to parents, to students, to vegans. We've got a really cool slide. I'll have to share it actually on my social later. But the number of people in the UK that are, of a student age or of a vegan age, not age, sorry, but are vegans, are far less community size than disabled people. Yet we'll see billboards up at train stations all about that sort of thing. And but back to my original point here, there will be targeted, heavily targeted marketing campaigns to the vegan community. And so I think, Marnie, we're on the same page that broad inclusive marketing, part 3, brilliant, let's do it, let's do more of it. But actually, let's do really clever targeted marketing campaigns with and for disabled people. I think that's that balance that isn't quite understood from brands, that both are really important and really sensible. Gavin saying universal design, awesome. Disappointed recently when Nike launched their new shoes, which can be put on hands-free, which they were advertised as shoes for disabled people. I feel they lost an opportunity to promote exactly what you were saying here today, Martin. Design for everyone, sell to everyone, reduce the other in everything we do. And I guess just to clarify, I think you probably wrote that as I was getting in my flow, Gavin. But we want the products to be for everyone and the brand to be for everyone. But there's still something about talking to blind people or wheelchair users or neurodiverse community, etc., within disability. There's a very different narrative or content. I'm just talking from a Purple Goat side or from an influencer marketing side, that I think Nike missed an opportunity to have more voices of disabled people, everyday disabled people, of how cool it is that the shoe is for everyone and the brand is for everyone, but to really invest in marketing that to disabled people. I felt like that fell into category number 3 in the end, that it was more about saying to everybody about the disability. It's very nuanced. It's a very interesting debate, this, the more we talk about these examples, but I'm still sticking to my guns that there's massive opportunity missed there of investing in doing more with disabled consumers, that this shoe is for us. And that was what I believe was an opportunity missed. But it doesn't detract from what you're saying, Gavin, that the shoe is for everyone and the brand is for everyone. And that's also a beautiful point. And I know that I'm sounding maybe more complicated now. I think to boil it down to its essence, we can have all of these touch points really, really well. It can be all these things we're talking about. It just needs to have that strategy and that consideration, and understanding that the marketing is more and more nowadays about niche content to niche audiences at scale. Stephanie, my heart hurts every time a crew member makes a misstep when helping our customers. We work very, very hard to train them well, and when we have great people, but everyone makes a mistake now and then. Yeah, I think that's that. We need an environment where brands can learn, and sometimes learning is by doing wrong, and they don't need to feel like it's all then over and it's ruined and they should never speak to disabled people ever again and not innovate and not do awesome stuff just because of one mistake. I think we have to have a culture where there's a lot of sort of togetherness, like I said before, and forgiveness. I suppose that's something I didn't mention earlier, but we should be more forgiving of mistakes, as long as there's a motivation and an intention to learn and do right in the long run. And also, Stephanie, let me know. I'll check out your LinkedIn profile later, but let me know who you work for. It'd be interesting to know a bit more about the context of that comment. Rebecca, I've just been talking to Lightwave RF about that very same topic you mentioned. As a smart home tech brand with multiple target market segments, but with an obvious benefit to older and disabled people. Exactly, the product can be for everyone, the brand can be for everyone, but actually, if we know there's 250 billion plus, I like that, Marnie. I'm going to say that 250 billion plus as my general figure now. Then yeah, like that there's absolutely should be a true investment in the marketing to those segments, and that's the point I'm trying to hammer home. And that doesn't mean not having products for all and brands for all. Inclusion is awesome, but I think marketing can be more targeted and invested in specific communities. Marnie, it is a minefield. Language is a minefield. Wants and needs vary so much, but still think it is a bit of a cop-out this day and age. There are enough disabled influencers and enough information out there for brands to embrace disability. Here, Marnie, totally agree. Gavin saying to Stephanie, I've sent out an invite as I'm keen to help you. Love it when people connect via these sort of shows as well. That's really, I love having that, because as I said to you a few times, I love going live and sharing some kind of thought or update. But for me, it's all about giving value, but it's also about community, and having that kind of connection go on a live stream is wicked. Marnie, the cancelled culture needs to be cancelled. Mistakes are opportunities to learn, as long as they're genuine and mistakes. Marnie, I'm going to have to get you to come on the show sometime. I'm loving these points you're throwing out there. It's very powerful. I often say that political correctness is the enemy of inclusion as well. And again, like we know there's been needs for some of the, I think, well, we agree the cancel culture really is wrong, I think, but we get where that spawned from at the same time, right? We know there are these horrible issues that have gone on, and we need to rattle brands to wake up and actually wake up to this. So there is this activism side, but I think, yeah, ultimately cancel culture is now making brands so scared to do anything, and that is a problem. Stephanie, I work for a US airline. Cool, that's really good to know the context there. Thank you, Stephanie. I know now why Gavin wants to talk to you. And Trish saying, hey Martin, great to see you, and good to see you too, Trish. Awesome, that was a really lively chat. I think it sort of shows, if I can get on late morning, 12 to 1 o'clock, I've noticed there's more engagement, whereas when I've struggled to get onto the afternoon, people are more in the flow with other stuff. So I've duly noted that part of when I need to try and go live. But as I said, yesterday was not possible to go live at all, just to do with work commitments. But yeah, really amazing chat today, everyone. Thanks for all your comments and inputs, and yeah, really lively conversation. And I hope this sort of perspective around the three things I mentioned earlier were useful. So thank you for watching. All being well, I'll be back tomorrow. And until then, take care. Bye-bye for now.